In 1956, one man recorded a message that quietly changed millions of lives. His voice was calm, his words were simple, but the impact was explosive. That message became the most famous personal development recording of all time, and inside it, Earl Nightingale revealed what he called the strangest secret in the world, a secret that determines wealth, success, meaning, and the destiny of every human being. The recording spread like wildfire across America. Business people passed it to colleagues, parents shared it with children, teachers played it for students. What began as a simple vinyl record transformed into a movement that touched every corner of society. Earl Nightingale wasn't seeking fame. He was simply a man who had discovered something profound about human potential, something so fundamental yet so overlooked that he felt compelled to share it with anyone who would listen. Consider this for a moment. What if there was a single principle that could explain why some people create extraordinary lives, while others remain trapped in cycles of struggle? What if the difference between abundance and scarcity wasn't about circumstances, luck, or even talent, but something entirely within your control? That's precisely what Earl Nightingale uncovered. A principle so strange, so counterintuitive, that most dismiss it before truly understanding its power. Yet this principle operates in every human life every day, whether recognized or not. Today, you'll not only learn this secret, you'll discover how to apply it specifically for wealth creation, not through complex strategies or risky investments, but through the most powerful tool you already possess, your mind. The world has changed dramatically since 1956. Technology has transformed how we live, work, and communicate. But this strange secret remains as relevant and powerful as ever. Perhaps even more so in our distracted, information-saturated world. As you experience this message, something important will happen. You'll recognize moments when this principle has already worked in your life, both positively and negatively. You'll see patterns emerge, connections form, and most importantly, you'll understand how to consciously direct this force going forward. This isn't about positive thinking or wishful dreaming. It's about understanding a law as real as gravity and as consistent as mathematics. A law that Earl Nightingale didn't invent. He simply observed it, named it, and shared it with a world that desperately needed to hear it. The strangest secret awaits. And once you truly grasp it, nothing will ever be the same again. Most people hear the phrase and nod their heads. They think they understand it. But Earl wasn't talking about a motivational slogan. He was describing a universal law. A law as real as gravity, as precise as mathematics, and as powerful as the subconscious mind working during sleep. The strangest secret means this: whatever image dominates your mind becomes your life. Hold an image of fear, your life moves toward fear. Hold an image of wealth, your life moves toward wealth. Not because of magic, but because your mind begins to filter opportunities, ideas, decisions, and behaviors to match the picture inside you. This is why two people can encounter the exact same circumstance yet experience completely different outcomes. One sees opportunity, the other sees obstacle. One feels inspired, the other feels defeated. One takes action, the other retreats. Same external reality, radically different internal images. When Earl spoke of becoming what you think about, he wasn't suggesting that mere thoughts instantly materialize into reality. He was describing something far more profound: the mind's extraordinary ability to orient itself toward whatever dominates its attention. Consider how this works in everyday life. When you become interested in purchasing a particular car, suddenly, you notice that same model everywhere on the roads. Did those cars just appear? Of course not. They were always there, but your mind filtered them out until they became relevant to your dominant thought. The same mechanism works with wealth creation. When wealth becomes your dominant thought, your mind begins to notice opportunities you previously overlooked. Conversations reveal insights you would have missed. Books deliver exactly the message you needed. People enter your life who can help you move forward. This isn't coincidence, it's selective perception shaped by dominant thought. Your reticular activating system, the filtering mechanism in your brain, literally screens the millions of bits of information you encounter each day and prioritizes what aligns with your most consistent thoughts. But the process goes far deeper than mere perception. Your dominant thoughts shape your decisions, often unconsciously. They influence your energy levels, your persistence, your willingness to learn, your responses to setbacks. Every aspect of your behavior gradually aligns with the image dominating your mind. Most profoundly, your self-concept, the image you hold of who you are, acts as a thermostat for what you'll allow into your life. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with money, your behaviors will sabotage financial opportunities even when they appear. If you see yourself as someone who naturally attracts and grows wealth, you'll take actions that reinforce that identity. Earl understood that the mind doesn't just passively observe reality. It actively creates it through this filtering, focusing, and behavioral alignment process. Your life right now, in every area, reflects the dominant thoughts you've held until this moment. The good news? The moment you change the dominant image, the entire mechanism begins working in a new direction. This is why people who truly grasp this principle can transform their circumstances with remarkable speed. Their past doesn't determine their future. Their current dominant thought does. And wealth, like any other condition, responds precisely to this law. Earl said that 95% of people never become truly successful, not because they're not capable, but because they never choose a dominant thought. Their minds run on autopilot. They think about anything and everything: bills, fears, small problems, gossip, comparison, doubts, and the mind has no choice. It expands whatever you repeatedly think. The mind is always planting, but you choose the seeds. Uncontrolled thinking creates an uncontrolled life. This is the tragedy Earl witnessed all around him. Brilliant, capable people living far below their potential, not because of external limitations, but because they surrendered control of the most powerful force in their lives: their thought patterns. The average person's mind jumps constantly between worries about the past, anxieties about the future, reactions to current problems, and distractions from media and technology. There's no consistency, no direction, no dominant image powerful enough to organize their mental energy. Think about your own thought patterns for a moment. In a typical day, how often do you deliberately choose what to think about? How often do you consciously direct your mental focus toward a specific outcome you desire? And how often does your mind simply react to whatever appears in your environment? For most, mental discipline is foreign territory. We've been taught many skills throughout life: how to read, calculate, communicate, perform specific jobs, but rarely how to control the very faculty that determines everything else: the mind itself. This lack of mental discipline leads to a scattered life experience. Without a dominant, deliberately chosen thought to organize their perception and behavior, people become like leaves blown by the wind of circumstance, sometimes up, sometimes down, but never consistently moving toward their chosen destination. The wealthiest individuals throughout history understood this principle. From John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie to modern billionaires, you'll find a common thread. They maintained a clear, dominant vision of what they intended to create. Their thoughts weren't perfect or always positive, but they consistently returned to a central image that organized their perception and behavior. Earl noticed another critical pattern. Those who never choose a dominant thought inevitably default to society's dominant thoughts instead. Their minds become colonized by mass consciousness, the prevailing fears, limitations, and scarcity beliefs that saturate most cultures. This is why the majority remain caught in financial struggle. Their minds constantly absorb and reflect images of limitation. Money is scarce. Success is for the lucky few. It's hard to get ahead. The system is rigged. These thoughts aren't chosen. They're absorbed through constant exposure. And here lies perhaps the most important insight. In the absence of a deliberately chosen dominant thought, the mind will inevitably fill with limitation, fear, and scarcity. This isn't pessimism. It's simply the default programming most humans inherit without questioning. Breaking free requires deliberate choice, conscious selection of what you'll allow to dominate your thinking, persistent return to that chosen thought despite the countless distractions and contrary messages bombarding you daily. The difference between the 5% who achieve remarkable success and the 95% who don't isn't talent, opportunity, or circumstance. It's this singular ability to choose and maintain a dominant thought despite every tendency to lose focus. And the most effective way to develop this ability is through a structured process of mental discipline. Earl Nightingale proposed an experiment. He said, "Give me 30 days. Control your mind for 30 days, and your entire life will begin to change." And now you'll learn this powerful process, upgraded for the modern world. Step 1. Choose your definite goal. One sentence, clear, specific, written. A mind with no target always returns to fear. The power of this first step cannot be overstated. Most people never make this crucial decision. They have vague wishes, fleeting desires, and general hopes, but not a definite goal that becomes the organizing principle for their mental energy. Your definite goal must be specific enough to create a clear image in your mind. I want more money isn't sufficient. I am earning $10,000 monthly through my expertise in digital marketing creates a precise mental picture that the mind can work toward. Write this goal in present tense, as if it's already happening. This isn't about deceiving yourself. It's about instructing your subconscious mind, which doesn't distinguish between what's happening now and what's vividly imagined. Keep your written goal private. The energy of a goal can sometimes dissipate when shared too broadly, especially with those who might not support or understand your vision. This is your contract with yourself, not a public announcement. Choose a goal that genuinely excites you, not what you think you should want or what others expect of you. The emotional energy behind your goal provides the fuel for sustained focus. Without genuine desire, your attention will naturally drift away from the goal. Step 2. Read your goal. Morning and night before the world interrupts you, and just before sleep, when the subconscious is open. Night is the door to the deeper mind. Guard it carefully. The timing of these readings is crucial. Morning, before engaging with external input, establishes your dominant thought for the day. This creates a mental filter through which you'll process everything you encounter. But the nighttime reading is perhaps even more powerful. The moments before sleep represent the gateway to your subconscious mind. Whatever occupies your thoughts during this transition period receives preferential treatment by your deeper mind throughout the sleep cycle. Don't just mechanically read your goal. Feel it. See it. Experience the emotions associated with already having achieved it. Your subconscious responds primarily to emotion, not just words. The feeling of already possessing your goal communicates most effectively with your deeper mind. Create a ritual around these readings. The same location, the same posture, perhaps even the same pen to underline key words. These physical patterns help anchor the mental habit you're establishing. Add a moment of gratitude after each reading. Gratitude is a state of completion and fulfillment, the very state you seek to create with your goal. This emotional alignment accelerates the mind's acceptance of your new, dominant thought. Step 3. Think only of your goal. Throughout the day, every time fear appears, redirect. Every time doubt appears, redirect. This is where the real work begins. Your existing thought patterns have created neural pathways in your brain, habitual routes that your thoughts naturally travel. Creating a new dominant thought means establishing a new neural pathway through consistent repetition. When contrary thoughts arise, and they will, don't fight or resist them. Simply redirect your attention back to your goal. Fighting against negative thoughts actually strengthens them by giving them additional energy and focus. Carry a physical reminder of your goal, a small card, a symbolic object, a phone wallpaper, that triggers your return to the dominant thought whenever you encounter it throughout the day. Use transition moments, stopping at traffic lights, waiting in line, walking between locations, as opportunities to consciously reconnect with your goal image. These small moments of reinforcement accumulate tremendous power throughout the day. Protect your mental environment fiercely during this 30-day period. Limit exposure to news, social media, and conversations that contradict or undermine your chosen dominant thought. Your mind is particularly vulnerable during this reprogramming phase. Step 4. Act as the person who is moving toward it. Your behavior must reflect the image. Your energy must match the future. Your decisions must align with the goal. The greatest accelerator of mental transformation is physical action that confirms and reinforces the new dominant thought. When your behaviors align with your mental image, the image strengthens exponentially. Ask yourself throughout each day, what would someone already achieving this goal do in this situation? Then, do that thing, regardless of whether it feels natural yet. This acting as if principle bridges the gap between your current reality and your desired state. Make decisions from your future identity, not your present circumstances. When faced with choices, Ask which option the wealthy, successful person you're becoming would select. This future-based decision-making bypasses the limitations of your current situation. Adjust your environment to reflect your goal. Organize your workspace, home, and even digital environments to support and reflect the identity associated with your dominant thought. External order reinforces internal clarity. Seek out people who embody what you're moving toward. Their presence normalizes the very state you're cultivating. Even brief interactions with such individuals can significantly reinforce your dominant thought pattern. Step 5. Persist for 30 days. Without breaking the chain. If you slip into fear, start the day again. This is mental discipline, the rarest skill on earth. The power of this process emerges through unbroken consistency. One day of focused dominance over your thinking creates momentum. Several consecutive days establish a pattern. 30 days without interruption produces a transformation that can alter the entire trajectory of your life. When you inevitably slip, when old thought patterns temporarily reassert themselves, don't criticize yourself or abandon the process. Simply restart your count from that day. The goal isn't perfection but persistence, the willingness to begin again despite temporary setbacks. Track your progress visibly. Mark each successful day on a calendar or in a journal. This creates both accountability and motivation as you see the chain of successful days extending before you. Notice the subtle changes that begin appearing within the first week. You'll find yourself naturally noticing opportunities related to your goal. Your energy when thinking about your goal will shift from doubt to excitement. Small synchronicities will emerge that support your direction. By the second week, your behavior will begin changing without conscious effort. Actions aligned with your goal will feel increasingly natural. Decisions that support your vision will require less deliberate thought. In the third week, external circumstances often begin shifting to match your internal reality. This is when many experience coincidences that accelerate progress toward their goal, not through mystical means, but through the alignment of perception, behavior, and opportunity recognition. By the 30th day, your new dominant thought will have established itself as your mind's default orientation. The effort required to maintain it will have diminished significantly as your neural pathways reorganize around this new pattern. This is the transformation Earl Nightingale promised, not an instant manifestation of your desires, but a fundamental reorganization of your mental patterns that inevitably reshapes your external reality. Earl didn't talk much about sleep, but Napoleon Hill, Thomas Edison, Tesla, and hundreds of creators understood the same truth. The subconscious mind is most active while you sleep. When you hold your definite goal as your final thought of the night, your deeper mind works on it for hours. This is why the strangest secret is even more powerful at night. When conscious resistance fades, the goal sinks into the soil of the mind. The relationship between sleep and mental programming represents one of the most overlooked accelerators of wealth creation. During sleep, your conscious mind, with all its doubts, criticisms, and limitations, retreats. The analytical, judging faculty that so often rejects new possibilities goes offline. In this state, your subconscious mind operates with remarkable freedom and creativity. It processes the day's experiences, consolidates memories, and most importantly for our purposes, works on whatever problem or goal occupied your thoughts before sleep. This phenomenon explains why solutions often appear upon waking. The mathematician who solves complex equations in dreams, the writer who wakes with dialogue fully formed, the entrepreneur who rises with a breakthrough strategy, all are experiencing the results of subconscious processing during sleep. Your mind doesn't stop working when you sleep. It simply shifts to a different type of work. Deeper, less linear, more intuitive. And whatever dominates your thoughts in those final moments before sleep receives priority treatment during this powerful processing period. Ancient wisdom traditions understood this principle. In many spiritual practices, the moments before sleep are treated as sacred, a time for prayer, affirmation, or visualization of desired outcomes. Modern neuroscience confirms the wisdom of these approaches, revealing how sleep consolidates learning and reinforces neural pathways established during waking hours. To harness this natural power, you must be extraordinarily careful about what occupies your mind before sleep. Most people unknowingly program limitation and anxiety during this critical period. They review problems, watch disturbing news, argue with loved ones, or scroll through social media comparing their lives to others, all immediately before sleeping. These activities establish the dominant thought that the subconscious will process throughout the night. The result is waking with reinforced limitation, amplified anxiety, and strengthened negative patterns, the exact opposite of what the wealth-minded person intends to create. Creating a deliberate pre-sleep ritual focused on your wealth goal transforms this powerful period into an ally rather than an obstacle. By consciously selecting the final images and thoughts before sleep, you literally program your subconscious to work on wealth creation while you rest. The most successful wealth creators throughout history have utilized this principle, often intuitively. They know that their mind continues working after they stop conscious effort. By directing this unconscious work toward specific outcomes, they multiply their creative power without additional waking effort. This understanding transforms sleep from mere rest into a productive period of wealth incubation. Your 8 hours of sleep become 8 hours of subconscious wealth programming when you master this aspect of the strangest secret. And the cumulative effect of 30 consecutive nights of proper pre-sleep programming creates momentum that can overcome years of contrary mental habits. This is why those who apply Earl Nightingale's principle correctly often experience what appears to be sudden transformation, the compounding effect of night after night of aligned subconscious activity. The sleep connection doesn't just support your conscious wealth-building efforts, it multiplies them exponentially. And in the next section, you'll discover why this principle works with such consistency. Earl told a story about a farmer with 2 fields. In one field, he planted corn. In the other, he planted deadly poison. The soil didn't care. It simply produced whatever was planted, multiplied. Your mind works the same way. Plant the seed of wealth, you get wealth. Plant the seed of fear, you get fear. This simple agricultural metaphor reveals perhaps the most important truth about your mind. It doesn't judge what you plant within it. It doesn't distinguish between thoughts that serve you and thoughts that harm you. It doesn't evaluate whether your dominant focus will create happiness or misery, abundance or scarcity. Your mind simply accepts whatever is repeatedly planted and returns it multiplied. Consider how this principle operates in the lives of those around you. Some people constantly plant thoughts of criticism, judgment, and finding fault. Their minds dutifully return these seeds multiplied. They become increasingly critical, continually finding more to judge and condemn, seeing flaws everywhere they look. Others habitually plant thoughts of scarcity. There's never enough time, money, opportunity, or recognition. Their minds faithfully return these seeds multiplied. They constantly experience rushing financial pressure, missed opportunities, and feeling overlooked. Still others consistently plant thoughts of fear. What might go wrong? Who might hurt them? What might be lost? Their minds reliably return these seeds multiplied. Their lives become increasingly restricted by perceived dangers, defensive relationships, and avoidance of risk. And then there are those who deliberately plant thoughts of abundance, opportunity, and growth. Their minds return these seeds multiplied. They notice resources others miss, see possibilities where others see problems, and consistently expand their capabilities and achievements. The principle operates with perfect equality and complete indifference to outcome. No moral judgment, no preference for positive or negative, no bias toward success or failure. Just the mechanical precision of cause and effect, dominant thought in, corresponding reality out. This truth may seem harsh at first. If your life contains significant struggle or limitation, recognizing that you've unconsciously planted those very conditions through your dominant thoughts can be painful. It's far easier to blame external circumstances, other people, or bad luck for unwanted conditions. But within this seemingly harsh truth lies extraordinary freedom. If your mind multiplies whatever you consistently plant within it, then you possess the ultimate power to change your conditions by changing your mental seeds. The most successful wealth creators throughout history understood this agricultural principle of mind. They realized that complaining about current conditions while continuing to plant the same mental seeds was futile. Instead, they focused relentlessly on cultivating new dominant thoughts, regardless of existing circumstances. This is why individuals from the most challenging backgrounds sometimes create extraordinary wealth, while those with every advantage remain financially limited. The external conditions matter far less than the internal seeds being planted day after day, night after night. And just as a farmer doesn't plant today and harvest tomorrow, there's a natural development period between planting mental seeds and reaping their corresponding results. This maturation process explains why the full impact of changing your dominant thought may not appear immediately, but will inevitably emerge if the new seed is consistently nourished. Understanding this agricultural metaphor transforms how you approach wealth creation. Rather than focusing exclusively on external actions and strategies, you recognize that the most important work happens internally, in the careful selection and consistent nurturing of wealth-oriented dominant thoughts. Every self-made wealthy person, whether consciously or intuitively, has applied this principle. They maintained wealth-generating dominant thoughts despite circumstances, despite setbacks, despite contrary evidence, until those thoughts produced their inevitable harvest. And the most efficient way to plant these wealth-generating seeds is through a specific nightly ritual that leverages the unique receptivity of your mind before sleep. This is where transformation accelerates. If you apply only this nightly ritual, your life will begin to shift. Sit or lie down comfortably, breathing slowly. Begin by creating physical stillness. Your body and mind are interconnected. Physical tension creates mental resistance. Find a position that allows complete relaxation while maintaining enough alertness to avoid immediately drifting into sleep. Slow, deep breathing signals your nervous system to transition from the sympathetic fight or flight state to the parasympathetic rest and digest state. This physiological shift creates optimal conditions for accessing your subconscious mind. The ideal breathing pattern is diaphragmatic, deep breaths that expand your abdomen rather than raising your chest. This activates the vagus nerve, further deepening relaxation and receptivity. Continue this breathing pattern for approximately 1 minute, or until you feel a noticeable shift toward calm alertness. This state, relaxed yet aware, represents the ideal condition for mental reprogramming. Repeat your definite goal in silence, as if it has already happened. Silently stating your goal avoids the distracting sensory input of your own voice, while maintaining clear focus on the specific outcome you intend to create. The silence also begins the transition from external awareness to internal experience. Phrase your goal in present tense, as if it's currently happening or has already happened. I am earning $10,000 monthly through my expertise, rather than I will earn, or I want to earn. This present tense phrasing bypasses the subconscious mind's resistance to future projections. Include precise details that make the goal tangible and believable to your subconscious. Specific numbers, timeframes, and methods create clarity that general statements lack. The subconscious responds most powerfully to precise instructions. Repeat this statement slowly 3 times, allowing each word to register fully in your awareness. This repetition isn't mechanical. It's a deliberate imprinting of the instruction you're giving your deeper mind. Visualize the completed goal, not the process. The result. Shift from verbal to visual representation of your goal. Create a mental movie of the completed outcome, seeing yourself already experiencing the wealth, recognition, opportunity, or achievement you desire. Focus exclusively on the end result rather than the steps to get there. Your conscious mind needs to understand the process, but your subconscious works most effectively when given the destination without restricting the route. Make this visualization as multisensory as possible. See the details of your wealthy life. Hear the conversations you're having. Feel the emotions and physical sensations associated with your achievement. Smell and taste the environment of your success. Maintain first-person perspective rather than watching yourself from outside. Experience the visualization as if looking through your own eyes, fully immersed in the reality you're creating rather than observing it as a spectator. Add emotion, the language of the subconscious. Gratitude, calm, certainty, joy. Emotion is the energy that powers subconscious programming. A visualization without feeling is like a vehicle without fuel. It won't travel far. Deliberately generate and amplify the emotions associated with already having achieved your goal. Start with gratitude, the feeling of appreciation for what you've received. Gratitude creates a state of completion and fulfillment that signals to your subconscious that the goal is already accomplished. Add calm certainty, the quiet confidence that comes not from hoping or wishing, but from knowing. This isn't forced confidence or artificial enthusiasm, but the serene assurance that what you desire is already yours. Incorporate joy, the natural response to experiencing your heart's desire. Allow yourself to feel genuine pleasure in the vision you're creating. This positive emotional state accelerates subconscious acceptance of your new dominant thought. Let your mind drift into sleep with that image. This is the planting moment. As you maintain the visualization and associated emotions, allow your conscious awareness to gradually fade. This transition period, the hypnagogic state between wakefulness and sleep, offers uniquely powerful access to your subconscious mind. Don't strain to maintain alertness. Simply hold the image and feelings as long as naturally possible, knowing that the final impression before sleep will continue influencing your subconscious throughout the night. If your mind drifts to other thoughts, gently return to your goal visualization without self-criticism. The transition to sleep naturally includes mental wandering. Simply redirect your focus each time you notice the drift. Trust that even if you fall asleep before completing the full visualization, the partial process still powerfully influences your subconscious programming. Consistency over 30 nights matters more than perfection on any single night. Night after night, the seed grows. Your habits change. Ideas appear. People show up, and the invisible becomes visible. This nightly ritual leverages multiple principles of mind simultaneously: the receptivity of the pre-sleep state, the processing power of sleep itself, the impact of visualization, the programming force of emotion, and the compound effect of consistent repetition. When performed diligently for 30 consecutive nights, this simple 5-minute practice can literally reorganize your mental patterns around wealth creation. The results often appear subtle at first: a new idea here, an unexpected opportunity there, but gradually accelerate as your subconscious fully embraces the new programming. Those who have mastered this process report that it eventually requires almost no effort. The wealth-oriented dominant thoughts become their mind's default setting, automatically directing perception and behavior toward financial expansion without conscious strain or continual reinforcement. This is the promise Earl Nightingale extended to anyone willing to apply the strangest secret with discipline and persistence. Earl Nightingale said, "You become what you think about." But here is the part most people never hear. If you think deliberately and consistently, you can become anything you choose. Wealth, mastery, purpose. Nothing is outside your reach, if you control the dominant picture in your mind. This promise might sound extraordinary, perhaps even unbelievable, to those who haven't experienced the transformative power of controlled thought. It suggests a level of personal influence over circumstance that contradicts conventional wisdom about success and achievement. Yet Earl wasn't promoting magical thinking or unrealistic expectations. He was describing a natural law that operates with precision in every human life. A law that most never consciously engage, but that the most exceptional achievers in history have leveraged, whether intentionally or intuitively. The key distinction lies in Earl's qualification: deliberately and consistently. Anyone can briefly imagine wealth or success. Anyone can temporarily focus on a desired outcome during moments of motivation or inspiration. But few maintain that focus with the deliberate consistency required to reshape neural pathways and establish new dominant thought patterns. This requirement for consistency explains why most people never fully experience the power of the strangest secret. They experiment with focused thinking for a day or two, see no immediate results, and revert to their habitual thought patterns. They plant the seed, but dig it up repeatedly to check its progress, preventing the natural growth process from completing. Those who transform their lives through this principle understand that mental reprogramming follows natural laws of development. Just as a farmer plants in one season and harvests in another, there's a maturation period between establishing a new dominant thought and experiencing its full manifestation in physical reality. During this maturation period, external circumstances may show little evidence of change. This gap between internal shift and external result tests your commitment to the process. Those who abandon their mental discipline during this critical phase never experience the promised transformation. Those who maintain their chosen dominant thought despite contrary external evidence eventually witness the alignment of circumstance with internal image. Earl's promise extends beyond mere financial improvement. The principle applies equally to any area of life: relationships, health, spiritual development, creative expression. Whatever consistently dominates your thinking, eventually shapes your reality in that domain. For wealth specifically, the promise means that financial limitation isn't your destiny unless you choose to make it so through your habitual thinking. No economic background, educational history, or current circumstance has more power over your financial future than your own dominant thoughts about wealth. This doesn't mean instant riches through wishful thinking. It means that by consistently maintaining wealth-oriented dominant thoughts, you gradually transform into someone who perceives, attracts, and creates financial abundance, regardless of starting point. Perhaps most importantly, Earl's promise offers freedom from the victim mentality that keeps so many trapped in cycles of limitation. If you truly become what you think about, then external factors, economic conditions, other people's actions, past experiences, have only the power you grant them through your thinking. This shift from external to internal causation represents one of the most profound transformations possible in human consciousness. It places responsibility squarely on your shoulders, but it also places ultimate power in your hands. Earl Nightingale dedicated his life to sharing this message because he had experienced its truth personally. From humble beginnings, he created extraordinary success by applying the very principle he later articulated. His life demonstrated what he taught, that anyone willing to discipline their thinking could transcend circumstance and create the life they envision. The promise remains open to anyone willing to test it. 30 days of mental discipline, 30 days of consistent focus on a clearly defined goal, 30 days of redirecting thoughts from limitation to possibility. That's all it takes to begin experiencing the transformative power of the Strangest Secret. The only question remaining is whether you'll accept the invitation that Earl extended over half a century ago, an invitation that has already transformed millions of lives around the world. You now possess the Strangest Secret, the same message that changed the world quietly and continues to shape the greatest minds alive today. The only question left is simple. What will you choose to think about from this moment on? This question isn't rhetorical. It's literally the most important decision you'll make today, and every day for the rest of your life. Most people never consciously make this choice. They allow their thoughts to be determined by circumstance, media, other people's opinions, and habitual patterns established years ago. But you've now recognized the extraordinary power of your dominant thought to shape every aspect of your experience. You understand that mental images precede physical reality. You know that whatever consistently occupies your mind will eventually appear in your life. This knowledge brings both responsibility and opportunity. The responsibility to guard your mental environment with far greater care than most ever consider necessary. The opportunity to deliberately select the thoughts that will create your future, rather than merely reflecting your past. The world will continue offering countless distractions, worries, and reasons for limitation. News headlines will suggest economic uncertainty. Well-meaning friends and family may reinforce conventional thinking about wealth and success. Your own past experiences may have created limiting beliefs that attempt to reassert themselves as dominant thoughts. None of this can control your mental focus unless you allow it. Earl Nightingale discovered that the human mind, properly disciplined, possesses remarkable immunity to external suggestion. It can maintain its chosen focus despite every contrary influence when guided by a clear intention and supported by consistent practice. This is your opportunity to join the small percentage of humanity that lives by design rather than by default, to experience the extraordinary power of aligned thinking, where your mental patterns, emotional states, physical behaviors, and external circumstances all move in harmony toward your chosen vision. The process isn't complicated. You've learned the specific steps required: selecting a definite goal, reviewing it morning and night, redirecting contrary thoughts throughout the day, acting in alignment with your vision, and performing the 5-minute pre-sleep ritual that programs your subconscious mind while you rest. The simplicity of this process sometimes causes people to underestimate its power. They expect wealth creation to require complex strategies, specialized knowledge, or rare opportunities. Yet the evidence throughout human history suggests otherwise. The most fundamental factor determining financial destiny isn't external technique but internal orientation, the dominant thought patterns that precede and shape all external action. Earl Nightingale's invitation stands before you. 30 days of mental discipline focused on wealth creation. not as an experiment in positive thinking, but as the application of a universal law as reliable as gravity. Not as a temporary motivation technique, but as the beginning of a fundamentally different relationship with your own mind. Those who accept this invitation often report that the first changes appear within days, not necessarily in external circumstances, but in their perception, energy, and behavioral tendencies. Ideas emerge that wouldn't have occurred before. Opportunities become visible that would have passed unnoticed. Decisions align naturally with wealth creation, rather than requiring constant conscious effort. As these internal shifts continue and strengthen, external circumstances gradually reorganize to match the new dominant reality established in the mind. Sometimes this happens through unexpected channels. Often it unfolds through logical progression that, in retrospect, seems almost inevitable. The key throughout this process is maintaining your chosen dominant thought, regardless of temporary appearances. The gap between mental cause and physical effect tests your commitment to the principle. Those who waver during this phase return to their previous patterns. Those who persist despite contrary evidence eventually witness the complete alignment of internal and external reality. You now stand at the threshold of potential transformation. The knowledge has been shared. The process has been explained. The invitation has been extended. All that remains is your decision. What will you choose to think about from this moment forward? Will you continue allowing random inputs, habitual patterns, and external circumstances to determine your mental focus? Or will you assert the extraordinary power Earl Nightingale revealed, the power to select your dominant thought and thereby shape your destiny? The choice, as always, remains entirely yours. But having encountered the strangest secret, you can never again make this choice unconsciously. You now know that your dominant thought creates your life, in wealth, relationships, health, and every other domain. Choose wisely, choose deliberately, choose consistently, and watch as the invisible becomes visible, as the seed becomes harvest, as thought becomes reality. You become what you think about.